Nintendo is taking its talents to China as they've teamed up with Tencent to release the Switch over in the country home to over 1.3 billion potential gamers. Gabe, I think this is pretty big news, and it sure seems like it for shareholders as stocks have surged by over 13%, bringing them to the highest they've been since last October.
Yes, I love that shareholders continue to just uphold the fact that I keep calling them the most reactionary shareholders, like in all of business, because anything that happens, they're like, yes, no, yes. And hey, this time it is a resounding yes. It is one of the biggest markets in the world, like you mentioned. And yeah, really good to see Nintendo stock go up anytime it happens.
Let us know your take on this development and how you feel about Nintendo and the Switch hitting the Chinese market. Gabe, it's interesting because they're partnering with Tencent, who is by money standards the biggest gaming company in the world. And to give you a little bit of perspective, Q1 2018, Tencent reported $3.65 billion of profit, which sounds like a lot of money. That's a lot of money. In comparison, though, it's astronomical because Activision Blizzard in the same period made $500 million, and EA in the same period reported profits of $566 million. So we're talking 7-8 times more money for Tencent, and it makes sense because they are behind a lot of big stuff. Obviously, they have a huge mobile initiative. They own 40% of Epic Games. They have a minority stake in Bluehole, developer of PUBG. They're always looking to expand, and here they are partnering with Nintendo. And thus far, they've gained the rights to push a test version of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. I'm not sure exactly what that means. If it's going to be like a demo version that's included in like on board the system, or if it's going to be just a different version of the game. But that is sort of Nintendo's big hurdle here, I think, with China. Getting the Switch was monumental, but they need approval for every game from China, and that process apparently takes a very long time. So this is a situation where if you're living in China, okay, there's a lot of just rules and regs for the government to approve the sale of official hardware like this. And now there's one game, and it might even be a test version.
Yeah, I mean, we know of other territories that have similar restrictions where the government has to approve of what gets sold, and a lot of times more violent and mature games just don't even get released in those markets. Something like that is going to be happening here with the Chinese market, and again, we've seen it before, so there's precedent for it. But yeah, Zach, imagine that for a second. Imagine that here where we live in the US of A, that we don't get to play Mortal Kombat because the government says we can't.
Yeah.
That would not be fun.
Or the Switch in general. I mean, they were even stricter before. They banned video games entirely for consoles for a while. Video game consoles were banned, and they reversed that in 2015. The Xbox One and the PS4 are for sale there via a similar method where they partnered with kind of a Chinese company and were able then to get it through, and Nintendo is now doing that with Tencent. I also think the Tencent partnership is interesting because Nintendo does have a lot of mobile aspirations, and I don't know what the heck has happened to Mario Kart Tour, but they do mention that Nintendo would like Tencent to sort of help them, probably more likely in the Chinese market, but with some of their mobile strategies and efforts.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you've never heard of Tencent, by the way, you're not alone, right? Because they are more of a big player elsewhere. Here, we don't hear about them a whole lot. We knew that they were behind PUBG. You mentioned, Zach, I didn't know this, but that they owned a share in Epic Games. So a lot of that Fortnite cashola is going that way as well. But yeah, mobile is something that they are way more predominant in, even here. So that is where I first heard of Tencent. It wasn't a mobile game. I forgot what it was here in America.
Let me remind you, Clash of Clans, League of Legends, they own Supercell, they own Riot. They are massive. As I said, the largest video game company in the world in terms of revenue. It's absurd. But I think this is really
that's funny, right? That they're the largest in terms of revenue, and they're not your average person in America doesn't know about them the way that EA or Activision, Ubisoft, people will know these companies before they know Tencent. And I know that's just an American thing, but still, I find that fascinating. They still are the biggest and most successful video game company basically, and they don't have a lot of name value. I just find that interesting
because they're more of a an overarching conglomerate. They have their hand in so many important pots, right? Epic Games, Bluehole, Supercell, Riot Games, and more, and they continue to acquire, and now a partnership with Nintendo. They're only going to grow. But hey, anything that boosts shareholders' confidence and boosts Nintendo stock is also going to have positive impact the world over. So as Nintendo does look to double down on their Chinese efforts, I think anything that spreads the Switch, that increases its sales, and that increases Nintendo's standing is important for everyone. So this is nothing but great news. I'll be curious to see what games go next. Do you have any guesses on like...
Oh, I know which is next. How do you not know? Nope.
No?
One more guess.
Zelda.
Fortnite.
Gosh, Gabe, wow. Okay, so on your Nintendo Switch, you can play Test Mario Bros. U Deluxe and Fortnite.
Yep.
I hope they get more games, because if you're...
They can put PUBG Mobile on the Switch.
Oh, gosh. Hey.
They can.
Hey, they really could. Snipper clips? Can we get some snipper clips action over in China?
Oh, man, that's the one I want. Man, if I ever go to China, please let me get snipper clips.
I think, like, you know, sometimes we'll talk about these lulls or these dead zones where we don't have a lot of releases for Nintendo. But imagine if, like, you bought a Switch or something, and like I said, there's just a few games. So I hope they are able to expedite that process and get it going. Let us know your take in the comments down below, everybody. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and what we do here on the channel. And for myself and Gabe, have a fantastic day. Switch Force